All right, welcome back to SouFLoTV again, everybody. It is your host with the most. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, please. If you've never been here before, go ahead and click the subscribe button and click the bell next to the subscribe button so you are notified every time a new video goes up on this channel. We also follow through all our videos from beginning to ending. That means from arrest all the way to conviction, even years later if there's a bail or anything else happens in the case. We stay close to the cases that we initially bring to the platform. With that said, welcome to the channel. Listen, Trevion Dean, I'm going to talk in patois a little bit. Trevion, you really come a foreign in a Uncle Sam place. Come pick up first degree murder charge, bro. Better you did stay at Jamaica, brother. You better you did stay in Jamaica. Now, I want you to know that they don't play in the state of Florida, you know. And your charges actually qualify you for the death penalty. They have a governor here, you see, in the state of Florida by the name of Ron DeSantis. That man made sure. He said the state of Florida is not executing enough people. Yeah. So he made sure to change the laws so that a jury is no longer required to be unanimous in vote for you to be executed in the state of Florida or sent to death row. With your charges, Trevion, them only need 8 out of the 12. Okay? So if 8 out of the 12 jurors in your case say death penalty, then death penalty it shall be. Let's get into this. They found a young lady laying somewhere out there on the side of the road somewhere, and an investigation began. All right? So for the people who are listening to this, I'm going to give you information from 3 different publications, so bear with the repetitiveness of some of the information, but there is also new information along the way. So the Brevard County Sheriff's Office was identifying a female who was found deceased near a roadway on Eber Boulevard in what is known as a unincorporated West Melbourne area. She was found on Monday, November 4th of 2024. November 4th of 2024. The female, later identified as 20-year-old Anaya Shepherd of Fort Pierce. The investigation began when deputies responded to the area on Eber Boulevard near Buddy Drive at approximately 6:40 a.m. early morning hours after a deputy was advised by a citizen in the area that, hey officer, there appears to be a body that's laying just over there off the roadway. So the deputy went and looked. Upon arrival, the deputies located the female victim who had been shot and was pronounced dead at the scene. The investigation was ongoing as agents were continuing to conduct interviews and gather whatever video footage they could gather to support their case, putting together a case, evaluating the evidence to determine the circumstances surrounding this incident. Based on their preliminary investigation, it had appeared that the victim was the intended target of this violent attack. At that time, they were asking people if anybody might have picked up something on their doorbell cameras or on their property cameras, if they could please turn it over to the police or contact the police if they have any information. If any of this young lady, Anaya's friends, might know something, might know if she was involved with a boyfriend who she would tell them that him used to beat her or choke her or disrespect her or whatever, known to get violent, call and say something, right? They left all their tip lines and numbers and everything, and voila, lo and behold, evidence out the woodworks. Let me just say that in Melbourne and Palm Bay, Florida, and these areas, right, You don't want to go to these places and commit murder or any kind of crime for that matter, because this place is heavily policed. Most of the properties in these areas have cameras. So eventually you are going to be caught, right? I would suggest that you try somewhere else. Now, moving over to an update from the police, the sheriff's office comes into play here. The Brevard County Sheriff Office announced on January 2nd of 2025. Remember, they found her in November of 2024. The individual that took her life, said to be a Jamaican male who killed a girl, premeditated his escape from the United States of America, fled the US, ran back to Jamaica. That means that him buy him ticket already, no say him a go kill her, walk her out, stall her out, killed her, left the US, and he was in Jamaica trying to pay attention to the case. When he thought that he was off any law enforcement radar, he decided to return back to the United States of America. You can tell, say, boy never too bright. So the Brevard County Sheriff's Office announced that they had arrested Travion Dean of a Fort Pierce address. He's of a Fort Pierce address, and the girl is of a Fort Pierce address as well. He was arrested for the shooting death of 20-year-old Anaya Shepherd. We have been told that they are both Jamaicans. I have no verification to know if Anaya is actually a Jamaican. Her name sounds like a typical modern day Jamaican name, but that's neither here nor there because names can belong to anybody across the globe, right? Right. So her body was the one that was discovered in the early morning hours on November 4th of 2024 on Eber Road in the unincorporated West Melbourne. Dean, Travion Dean, the Jamaican male, he was arrested on January 2nd of 2025 in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, as he re-entered the country from Jamaica. Remember, I know, Fort Lauderdale, Florida is very far away from Fort Pierce. So if he was flying into the country, why is he flying in Fort Lauderdale? Anyhow, he flies back into Fort Lauderdale trying to stay under the radar. The law enforcement officials here, they were already on top of him. They set up for him and they were tracking and waiting. After the arrest warrant was issued by Honorable Judge David Silverman, he was arrested as he re-entered the United States of America from Jamaica. He is currently, as of April 22nd of 2025, he is currently being held in the Brevard County Jail at a no bond status. That means no matter how much money you can pay up front, you could have paid $100 million, they don't want your money. They have super strong evidence that says you did this, so therefore you're going to be held without bond. The investigation began when deputies responded to the area of Eber Boulevard near Buddy Drive at approximately 6:40 a.m. like we said before, after a deputy was advised by a citizen that there appeared to be a female body laying across the road at the side of the road. And upon arrival, they realized that this female was shot and they called EMS and she was pronounced dead at the scene. The investigation had revealed that the victim, Anaya Shepherd, 20 years old, and this suspected killer, they had been in a prior romantic relationship, boyfriend and girlfriend, and they were staying in a room at an extended stay America motel on US 192 in West Melbourne. Now, I must tell y'all that US 192 in West Melbourne, you staying in a motel. I know these areas very well. It's a lot of prostitution, drug addicts in those areas, homeless people, panhandlers, people who collect money and then use the money to get a hotel room or a motel room rather along the US 192 in West Melbourne. So they were staying in a rundown kind of motel in that area. They left the motel together during the early morning hours of November 4th of 2024. Cameras picked them up. You see what I'm telling you about a web of cameras being all over the place? This is not Jamaica. Once you're outside in the United States of America, somebody's camera is picking you up. If I walk outside of my house right now, by the time I walk down my driveway, I am on at least 4 or 5 cameras. My neighbors across the street, their cameras are going to pick me up. My neighbors to my left and right, their cameras are going to pick me up. And you can see that everybody has cameras around their property, around their houses, and on the front door area as well. So obviously, I got on camera all the time. Not to mention the government cameras that are in the nearby stoplights and intersections, etc., etc. This is not Jamaica, my friend. Can't understand how this young man come to America, come pick up these big charges. I would rather be free and broke and homeless in Jamaica than to be on a murder charge in prison in the United States of America. Especially his charge. He is charged with first-degree premeditated murder. That's a different kind of murder as opposed to just murder. First degree, premeditated murder. That means the law recognizes that you sat, you thought about it, and then you plan it out and you carried out your plans. They're going to treat you very different in the court of law when that time comes. Now, cameras picked them up as they left the motel together during the early morning hours of November 4th of 2024. After being picked up by a ride-share service, hold on. After being picked up, that beeping sound that you hear,
kidnapped child, https://www.fdlealerts.com/47523.jpg.
that sound you hear is exactly how an Ananda alert sounds in the United States of America. And as I was doing my recording, it went off on all my devices, right? I'm not even going to edit it out of this. I'm just going to leave it in there. So back to what I was saying. What police found out by questioning people who might know them is that they were a couple. They were in a romantic relationship. And then cameras picked them up. I don't know why they left Fort Pierce and ended up in West Melbourne, which is not too far, but quite a distance away from where they're from. So they're in the motel, and the same morning, November 4th, 2024, they left together after they were picked up by a ride-share service who dropped them off in the area of Eber Road and Hollywood Boulevard. This is a Uber that dropped them there. Agents were able to obtain further video surveillance in that area that confirmed that the couple were together in that same area near the time of the shooting. He was with her. Agents were also able to obtain other evidence to substantiate that they were together at the actual time of the incident when she was gunned down. Agents uncovered that Dean contacted another rideshare service, Uber, shortly after Anaya was shot. That Uber picked him up on Minton Road, which is not far over from the actual shooting street, and drove him back to the same motel that they were seen on camera leaving together. Dean was later captured on video. Again, this time he was seen leaving the motel carrying personal property that belonged to Anaya. You know, I know a lot about this area. Sometimes this is the area where guys bring girls and, you could pimp them out if you want to. Like, we're hard up for money, things are rough. You could go outside and get a client or two. I'll go outside. You can use the hotel room or the motel room, make a couple dollars real quick. We can get some food and we can pay for a couple of days for our stay. They seem like they were vagrantly moving about the place. You know what I mean? I don't know the circumstances surrounding why, but the way how the law describes it was they had an argument. They were in a relationship. They had an argument. They were seen leaving the hotel together or the motel together. They jumped in an Uber together. They went to that location together. Other cameras picked them up there together. And then the shooting happened. Then he went one block over, called the Uber, drove right back to the same motel they just came from, and then was seen on camera again leaving with her belongings. Now he is booked on first degree premeditated murder. Listen, I'm gonna say it again. You could have stayed in Jamaica for all that, bro. Yeah. Someone frightened for girl pick the two, It's like, I don't know, them reach a foreign and it's like them never get pretty girl yet or get a dolly yet, as they call it in Jamaica. So them just frightened. Any little like she might like a next boy pitch up on social media or she even wink and say hi to a strange person. It's like the man them want to tear off her head or something. Now, West Melbourne, Florida, the Brevard County Sheriff Office confirmed that the body that was found in an unincorporated portion of West Melbourne was that body of the 20-year-old Fort Pierce woman. In a statement, the Sheriff Office stated that the woman, Anaya Shepherd, had been shot to death and that she was likely the intended target of this attack. Its investigators are still currently conducting more interviews and they are going over more evidence to determine what actually led to this point. He's not communicating with police. He's probably still denying he has anything to do with it, but they have enough evidence to charge him for it already. Deputies responded, and we're not gonna go through that again. You already know what that is. So, Sheriff Wayne Ivey indicated that Shepherd had been known to travel between Fort Pierce and Brevard County before her death. She goes between the two areas. I don't know why, but she looks very familiar. So the victim's mother, Katina Shepherd, said that her daughter had a beautiful heart and her daughter leaves behind 4 brothers and sisters. She said that the pain of hearing that, no matter how it's given to you, is just indescribable. And to know that my child was left on the side of the road, it made me hurt even worse because she didn't deserve that. Katina Shepherd told CBS 12 News in an interview. She said that her daughter was just a giving, caring kind of person, and that might have been to her detriment. You know, uh, the sheriff's office did not indicate if investigators had identified any other suspects or anyone else was in custody or involved, except for this young man who is said to be of Jamaican heritage, who was arrested at the Fort Lauderdale airport as he re-entered the country from Jamaica. Loved ones are grateful for the love and the support of friends and strangers, she said. She said, I want to tell them thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. The prayers are so needed because I'm trying to be strong, not just for myself, but for my children, her mother said, because her four brothers and sisters are grieving, and it seems like they are very much affected by losing their sibling. So, back to the Jamaican youth now. Brother, and I'm going to speak as if I'm speaking to Jamaicans who haven't even come here before. Unless you plan to come to the United States of America and just throw your life away like you plan on going to prison, because here's the deal. In the United States of America, right, especially in these southern states, very few murders go unsolved. Most criminals eventually end up doing time in prison. These law enforcement officials here, they are relentless. They will track and pursue a particular case for years until they get what they've been looking for. So if you want to put yourself in these circumstances, then hey, I can't tell you, man. But listener, this is the United States of America, friend, filled with many opportunities. Literally 50 states that you can jump all about. Some people will say 51. 50 states you can jump all about. If it ain't working out for you here, go there. If it ain't working out for you there, go there. You have many places to go. If people hot up your head to the point where you are going to do stuff to lose your freedom, take away yourself and go somewhere else. There are lots of opportunities here to explore. But you know what you can't do? You can't explore and exploit any of them from behind bars. Especially if you come here and you pick up a first degree premeditated murder charge. Again, Florida is not the state to play around in. They will fry you. Worst, you are an immigrant, they will super fry you. Worst, you are a black immigrant, they will super fry you. So I look forward to hearing the outcome for this. I am willing to bet that Trevion Dean will probably get life in prison without the possibility of parole because of how the murder was done. If he doesn't get life in prison without the possibility of parole, he's definitely going to serve some 50, 60 years before he sees freedom again. On top of that, we have the possibility of him being sent back to Jamaica after a lengthy prison sentence in the United States of America for premeditated first-degree murder. So I'm going to stay close to this case to see how this case turns out. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. I can't say I wish him all the best. I was hoping it wasn't him that do it, and it's somebody else, and eventually he will speak. But everything points to him being the person that committed that murder. She's 20 years old, he's 22 years old. They were a couple and they had been in a relationship for a little while. An argument led to something that led to something that led to gunshot that led to him going on the run, him thinking he was safe and returning from Jamaica back to the US only to be arrested at the Fort Lauderdale airport. I'll leave this one right here. Y'all be careful out there. It always puzzles me when a female gets with a male because you know that initial, hi, how you doing? You're so beautiful. I would love to get to know your name. Can I take you out sometime? You know, I would like to get to know you better. That initial stage where butterflies and chemistry, and nobody goes into a relationship saying, hi, how you doing? You know, I'm a violent person and I might shoot you in the face one day. Or I might be the person that take away your life, you know? So you can talk to me at your own risk. Nobody says that. Everybody puts their best foot forward in a relationship. So this poor young girl, or any woman who has been a victim, or any person who has been a victim of these types of relationships that end this way, where your lover, somebody who you fell in love with, had a relationship with, called yourself being exclusive with, ended up being the person who ended your life. I just can't figure out how it went from hugs and kisses and love and romance to just murder. That's a whole nother topic that we need to talk about. But I'm going to leave this one right here. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Trevion Dean, nothing I can say to you, bro. Your hell is just beginning. I'm out. Peace.